Hey, happy Monday, everybody. This is Beth Knaus from That's a Spade Copywriting Services with your Monday Minute, something for you to think about as you are working through your week. And I have been thinking about something, bear with me now. I've been thinking quite a bit about uh, generational cycles, and there are a number of things that pull into this. You can see things around us changing right out in the general world, here in the States or where you live, or even just in your home or personal life, that things are being shaken up a little bit. And I think that that's a great thing because, like, I know in working with clients, a lot of the time they hesitate to say something, or they're very caught up in, well, what will people think? Or, is it okay if I say that? But, is that nice? Because if I say that I do this and another person in my field says that they do it differently, you know, is that okay? Like, for instance, I recently talked about, and I'm not sure if I talked about it here, if it was a social post, but I see that there's a trend kind of going away from long email sequences, because what happened was, a lot of people weren't utilizing email. And so you could send, a sequence of 5 to 8 emails and people would open them for you. But then when other people were like, oh, this is really smart, right? And things got stirred up in the social media world a little bit, where we lost, Instagram for a day. I think that's what it was. Anyway, uh, if you have an email list and you're emailing people, you didn't get affected by that. And, you also own your emails that you send out, right? So anyway, I feel like that was, great. And a lot of people started emailing. But what happens now is, maybe instead of having, 4 people email you monthly, now there were like 20 people emailing you twice a month. Some people like to email once a week. And quite frankly, I know myself as a business owner that I can't keep up with that. I can't read all those emails. So what I've suggested to a handful of clients is to kind of do a mini sequence. And I know for people who are used to traditional, email welcome series and funnels, that was blasphemy, but I really, for me personally, didn't feel great doing it the other way. So I changed it. And, some people may agree with me and some people may say, no, I want to stay with the traditional thing. And that's fine. But it's a cycle that kind of, for me personally, needed to be broken. And I feel like we're caught in a lot of cycles like that, right? Like the what will people think cycle. Like, and I understand the younger you are, the more you might feel this. But for those of us that are a little bit older, that might be something that we heard in our families growing up, right? We didn't want to be judged. Our, parents, maybe our moms more than our dads, were worried about, what would people think? Are we competing with the Joneses and that sort of thing? And so this is kind of stuff that plays, behind the scenes in your brain. So I know you're probably like, why are you talking about my childhood and my personal life? But it definitely comes back and affects how you're presenting yourself and putting yourself out there. So if you are putting yourself out there, and in your mind, you were taught to always be polite, to always let the other person speak first, to, not say anything that might rock the boat, then that's showing up in your content. But that makes your content really vanilla, right? Like, I like to say, if I'm going to eat ice cream, I'm not eating vanilla. It's frozen milk with extra fat and sugar, right? If I'm eating ice cream, I want stuff in it. I want stuff on it. I want to shake it up. I want a little variety. And so I think you have to think about your content that way too, to just always be making it like, polite and perfect and, you know, cute and safe. Like, that's safe. And sometimes we need safe, right? And sometimes we need tactical and practical. But sometimes, if you want to stand out, you really have to put those voices in your head behind you and think about what works for you today, right? Because whatever those things are that you hear in your head, wherever you learn them along the way, whether it was corporate and now you're a business owner or vice versa, it's not necessarily serving you anymore in your communications. And, what I said earlier about email is also the same in all content platforms. Things are getting saturated. So, what is it that you're saying, and how are you saying it that people are stopping and knowing that it is worthwhile to listen to you or to read your material? And I can tell you definitely it's not because it sounds like everybody else's. It's not because you're writing the same thing as everybody else. And from a more technical point, I am not an SEO expert at all, but in my working with blogs with some clients and doing some SEO research for them, sometimes you have a topic you want to write about and everybody and their brother has written about it, right? And those are the key words that come up. But if there's already a bajillion people using those keywords in a boring headline, then if you're going to use the same headline, there's no way you're going to make it to the top A. And I don't know about you, but for me, if I'm looking up a topic, I'm willing to look at 3 different versions of that topic. So I'm not going to look at 100 different ones. So you have to think about that in your titles, right? And you have to think about it in what's in context, what's in the body of the stuff that you're writing. So, you don't want to get caught up in 2 things here. I want to be clear because I could talk about the generational cycle thing a lot, and it's also personal and business. So, if you're using a mindset or working from things that historically you've heard, things have changed and times have changed, and how we do business has changed, and how we communicate and collaborate and speak to each other, particularly for women in the business sector, has changed a great deal. So if you're going to try to communicate with people the way you watched people around you do it 20 years before, you're going to struggle. So think about that. So that, and you know what? I lost the second thing. That's the kind of Friday I'm having today, folks, while I'm recording my Monday video. So, but sit with that. And I would really like for you to tell me how you feel about it. Because I think we are all walking around with a lot of things that are just inbred and worked at some point, but maybe are holding us back. And of course, for me as a writer, particularly in our writing and what we want to communicate with people. So try to notice and be aware this week of anything you're doing that you don't really understand why you're doing it in the moment, because it's just maybe something you've been dragging along behind you that you could let go of. So I hope you have a fabulous week, and I look forward to chatting with you next Monday.